Trading Conceiver outputs very detailed charts of your simulations. Here you will learn how to control the visualization of graphs. In order to open the Charts window after running at least one simulation, in the main window of Trading Conceiver, select the checkbox Charts. Each time you run a simulation, the charts will be updated. In the Type pane, you select how prices are visualized. With the Candlesticks option, prices are shown as candlesticks. The body rectangle is drawn between the open and the close. The shadows, vertical lines, connect the body with the low and the high. With the OHLC bars option, prices are shown as open, high, low, close bars. The vertical bar is between the low and high, the left horizontal bar is at open level, and the right horizontal bar is at close level. With the Lines option, prices are shown as a line, connecting closing prices. The Width option controls the width of each candlestick. Or OHLC bar. The Gap option controls the gap, that is the blank space between two adjacent candlesticks or bars. The Up button is the color for up days. For candlesticks, it is when the open is lower than the close. For OHLC bars, it is when the previous close is lower than the current close. For lines, it is the color of the line, with no distinction between up and down days. The Down button is the color for down days. For candlesticks, it is when the open is greater than the close. For OHLC bars, it is when the previous close is greater than the current close. For lines, it is the color of the line, with no distinction between up and down days. In the Height pane, the Overlay's height spinner represents the height of the overlay graph, that is the one containing the price. The Indicator's height spinner represent the height of each graph containing the indicators. The viewport is the portion of the graph visible at a time. The window displaying it is also referred to with the same name. By selecting this checkbox, the graph will be zoomed in vertically as much as possible, so that the minimum and maximum values contained in the viewport will be displayed at the bottom and the top, respectively. If the checkbox is not selected, the bottom and the top of the viewport correspond to the minimum and maximum values of the entire range along the y-axis. In the x-axis pane, the x-grid every n values spinner is the number of periods between two adjacent grid lines. The y-grid follows along proportionally. The labels densities along the x and y-axis depend directly on this number. The Rotate Labels checkbox, if selected, rotates 90 degrees counterclockwise the x-axis labels. The Scroll radio buttons select the amount to shift along the x-axis when pressing the scroll bar left and right buttons. You can select either 1 pixel or 1 period. If you select the 1 period option, each time you press the scroll bar buttons, you scroll exactly 1 bar or candle pitch. You can write a date and time in the Go To text field and press the Enter key on the keyboard or the Go button. The chart will scroll automatically to make the selected date visible and highlight it. More precisely, the match is for the first occurrence in the column Date and Time, which shows the concatenation of the date and time fields of the historical file. In order to have a hit, it is sufficient that the beginning of the string representing the concatenation matches the text in the text field. Instead of writing a date, it can be useful to copy it from the label showing the X position in the pane mouse. Click in the chart on the day you are interested in, copy the date from the label, and paste it in the Go text field. Each time you press the Go button, you will return to that point. This is actually the behavior of a bookmark. In the Y-axis pane, if the log scale checkbox is selected, Y-axis values are shown in logarithmic scale. What is equidistant in a linear scale is not in a logarithmic scale. By checking the equidistant log grid checkbox, an equidistant grid will be used with your logarithmic scale. By the properties of logarithm, this way the percentual difference, that is the distance between two grid lines, is constant on a linear scale. The delta percentage label shows the price difference in percentage between two adjacent horizontal tick marks, that is grid lines. The first number is for the first two ticks at the bottom. The second number is for the first two ticks at the top. For the formula, please refer to the manual or at the tooltip. The first number is greater than the second unless the checkbox equidistant log grid is selected for a logarithmic scale. In the buy and sell signals pane, if the plot checkbox is selected, buy and sell signals are plotted. They are represented as squares. The size spinner is the size of buy and sell signals in pixels. The opacity slider is the opacity of buy and sell signals so that they can be made partially transparent to see what there is beneath. Colors are fully customizable in the Colors pane. Just click on the button whose color you want to change. For instance, colorblind people might want to change green hues. 1. Color of the first overlay or color the first value for a multi-value indicator. 2. Color of the second overlay or the color of the second value for a multi-value indicator. 3. Color of the third overlay or color of the third value for a multi-value indicator. 4. Color of the fourth overlay. SL1 color of the first stop loss. SL2 color of the second stop loss. TP1 color of the first take profit. TP2 color of the second take profit. L color for long signals. S color for short signals. C colors for liquidate signals when the position is closed. Plus color of the crosshair. Default settings for some of these colors have matching hues with the corresponding colors in tables. They are slightly different though, because in table they are used as background, while in charts they use as foreground. In the mouse pane, the X and Y labels indicate the coordinates where the mouse is clicked or dragged. The plus button clears the crosshair. In the plot pane, check the Overlays checkbox to plot the overlays. Check the Stop Loss checkbox to plot the stop loss. Check the Take Profit checkbox to plot the take profit. The settings in the connection pane relate to the way the values of overlays and indicators are connected in order to form their curve. Overlays and indicators change value abruptly, usually but not necessarily at close, when they are recalculated. So the real values are only those taken upon calculation. In order to graph a curve, those values are connected in one way or another. In the standard option, adjacent values are connected through a straight line. This is the standard way and very likely the way you're used to. This is probably the most pleasant to the eye. However, the straight segments show values the indicator never takes, as if the indicator gradually took intermediate values between those at the extremes. The step-like option is the most accurate way to represent the indicator value, although probably the least pleasant to the eye. Only the real values taken by the indicator are shown, so each value is represented by a horizontal line until the next value. In order to make the curve more readable, a vertical segment is drawn where the transition from one value to another occurs. If an indicator changes its value in a certain instant in time, by the way that it's drawn in the step-like fashion, it looks like if there are two possible values, the old and the new one, in the same instant in time. As said, they are connected through a vertical segment, meaning the change is instantaneous. The real value to consider in that instant in time is the new one, that is the final one for that instant in time. This way, it is clear exactly from when the signal can be used, without being predictive. In the example, the indicator changes its value at close, and at close the value to consider for the indicator is the new one, not the old one. For instance, this holds true for indicators in the trading algorithms branch, indicating the trading signals given by the long, short, and so on tabs. In the example, at close there is a short signal given by the trading algorithm, and indeed a short position is opened. That's because at close short one is to be considered true, not false. The other way around holds true when opening a long position. The difference between the standard and the step-like methods is particularly important when evaluating breakouts. As an example, let's consider the Donchian breakout, when there is a long signal if the price goes above the Donchian channel upper line and a short signal if the price goes below the Donchian channel lower line. Using the standard connection, we cannot always make a right comparison between the price and the overlay. For instance, this is a real breakout at threshold because the high price is greater than the Donchian channel's upper line. On the contrary, we could erroneously conclude that a breakout happens here too, and yet there is no long signal at threshold, but only at close. Using the step-like connection, we now can see that here actually there is a real breakout, because the high price is greater than the Donchian channel's upper line. But here this doesn't happen, no breakout occurs at threshold. As explained earlier, at close the right value to look for the indicator is the final one. That's why here there is a trading signal at close, a breakout occurs. So the signals given by Trading Conceiver are correct. Click the Reset to Default button to reset all controls to their default value. By clicking on an indicator's header, you can toggle its visibility. In order to make a crosshair appear, press a mouse button and keep it pressed for a while without dragging it. From the moment it appears, you can drag it. In general, overlays, indicators, signals, and the like are all drawn taking into account the intraday instant, that is, open intraday or close. For instance, the buy-sell signals might appear as in this example, where the particular instant within the day when the signal occurs is apparent. Specifically, if the signal is drawn on the left of the candle, it means it occurred at open. If the signal is drawn on the right of the candle, it means it occurred at close. If the signal is drawn horizontally in the middle of the candle, it means it occurred intradaily, that is, in an instant in time between open and close. The vertical level at which it is drawn corresponds to the threshold level the trade occurred.